There isn't much that makes me happier than having young adults in this congregation. The ones who are here all the time and the ones who spent part or all of their childhoods here and return. When our youth cross the bridge into adulthood during the bridging ceremony in the spring, we tell them that we always, always want them to come back to us, that we want to know how they are and who they are as they move into adulthood. And we want them to remember that this is their home. So today we get to hear the voices of some of our young adults, the beautiful voices of Sophia, John, and Haley. And 3 of our young adults are going to tell us how they are doing. I just said, just tell us how you are. So, to all of you, thank you for giving us the great gift of sharing your lives with us.
Good morning. My name is Haley Watson. I use she, her pronouns, and I have been a member of this UU community for most of my life. Dating myself, I've been around in this community for about 22 years, which is really weird saying that out loud. I was asked to share about my life right now and how I'm incorporating Unitarian Universalist values into my life. And what initially came up was political values, social justice, personal morals, and I began thinking about what influenced my current career path towards licensure as a mental health counselor and as an art therapist, which encompassed those areas in many ways. I thought about the conversations I've had with multiple people, ministers and members of this congregation, who pursued very similar careers in mental health and the expressive therapies. And I realized that there are some parallels between the work that I'm pursuing and my roots in Unitarian Universalism as I'm exploring creative approaches to healing while working in a very rigid mental health system. Mental illness is often seen as an individual problem or a deficit, where mental health professionals seek out what is wrong with the person. This is viewing therapy from a disease-based perspective, like an illness that requires an expert with the right knowledge or degree to correct it. Even the origins of art therapy follow this perspective, with many early art therapy assessments attempting to diagnose someone by the amount of colors they use or the level of detail in their drawing of a tree. This reflects a more traditional Western approach to healing, one that demands quick and swift treatment to please the insurance companies, and that often does not entail the full spectrum of the human experience. The knowledge that I've gained from my education and from my internship experience thus far has challenged that perspective. There is a justifiable mistrust in the mental health system in the United States for many people due to its roots in harmful and unjust practices. And that is reflected when a person seeking services is viewed as a set of symptoms or a diagnosis. Samna Scott preached a sermon here a few weeks ago where she mentioned the sacredness of lived experience and how we learn about the world and we develop new perspectives from the influence of others, like loved ones and children and teachers. And this idea can be applied to many of the UU principles. Samna reminded me that my lived experience and the UU values that I grew up with in this church are shaping the kind of therapist that I'm becoming. These values including being mindful to be curious about others' ways of being and to respect the unique and complex nature of each person's worldview. I also believe that each of us are equipped with so many unique strengths, and there are multiple ways of healing that promote those strengths rather than focusing on deficits. I am learning that the work of healing is in supporting people to curiously explore the way they see themselves and the world, often creating it on the paper or canvas in front of them, and to feel empowered to shift this narrative to a more empowering view and core beliefs, sitting as a witness and as a container while the person engages with the creative process. And there's no assumption or interpretation of the artwork, but there are many "I wonder" statements. I also think about exploring activism and social justice as a therapeutic practice, supporting people to use their voices and art-making practice to empower themselves and others to bring awareness to the injustices that impact the people we serve. I feel so fortunate that I have had the opportunity to expand my understanding of mental health so that the principles that I was raised with as a member of this congregation can inform my counseling practice. By using art therapy and other creative approaches to healing, and by remaining curious and looking at the bigger picture of the challenges that are experienced by people seeking therapy, and by reminding myself that therapy does not exist in a vacuum, diagnostic criteria and treatment planning and all these things must live in the context of the world that we're living in and strive to meet people where they're at in their unique circumstances that cannot be defined by any manual. When I think about this work, I feel like I have more questions than I have answers, and I think that's how it should be. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Avery. I use any pronouns. I don't really like public speaking, so please bear with me. I've been a part of this community since I was 7. Right now, I'm a junior in college. I'm studying criminal justice and technical theater, which is a really normal combination. I work as a TA in the scene shop right now. I'm building sets and, hanging and focusing lights. Criminal justice is something I'm very interested in and have been for a while. I'm passionate about it, but at this time, I don't think I can talk about it without talking about the injustice in the current system. Recent laws and Supreme Court rulings have caused harm. Immigrations and customs enforcement have been given leave to operate without accountability in direct opposition to the constitutional rights given to all people in this country. They're taking people out of their homes, off of the streets, without identifying themselves, without proper warrants, and holding them illegally. People who are innocent of everything but existing in this country on what is stolen land without proper documents. The laws protecting our rights are being stripped away at a federal level, and we are so lucky to live in a state that will uphold our rights, but our country and people are in danger. Women are dying because they cannot get abortions. There is so much injustice in our world right now, and it's hard and scary to think about. The values First Parish has taught me I try to live by, and they greatly inform my worldviews and my decision to go into criminal justice. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, in justice and compassion, and I carry these principles with me every day as I move through the world. Right now, our country is hurting. Our laws aren't protecting, and things are deeply wrong. But I also know we all have the power to change things, and I believe we will change things. I've been lucky enough to grow up in this community, seeing people live by these principles. donating to help others. I've seen people stand every weekend at the Black Lives Matter vigil in front of this church. To grow up around so many people who believe in and promote justice, respect, and compassion has been such a gift, and I carry it with me every day. So thank you all.
Thank you both. So I want to close with a letter from Nathaniel Clark, who is preaching this morning at the Fallen UU Church, so could not be here in person. Dear beloved First Parish, so much has happened in the past year. I graduated from Iliff School of Theology with my Master of Divinity degree in May of 2025. Iliff was a wonderful experience for me, and so was living in Colorado while I studied. Unitarian Universalists out west have a slightly different way of doing things, so I'm glad I've been able to explore a wider range of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist community. The unifying factor, of course, is that every UU church I've ever visited has offered me a warm welcome and a cup of coffee. Truly, this is our communion. I'm in my second year of my internship at Fallen Church in Lexington, and I could not be happier to have chosen this career path. I've been learning from Reverend Claire Feingold Thorin, and while she went on sabbatical, I had the chance to spend a lot of time with Elea's dear friend, Reverend Carolyn Paterno. They have both been wonderful mentors, and I feel so lucky. My wife and I recently moved to Westford, Massachusetts, with our friend Milo Brandt, Ellen's son, who routinely fills our duplex with beautiful piano music. We're thrilled to be back in New England. I'm approaching the end of my internship time and thinking ahead to what I'd like to do next. I love preaching, so I hope to be a parish minister with my own pulpit eventually. I've done work, though, as a chaplain, a youth minister, a community minister, and I've loved all of it in different ways. I'm open to possibilities and excited for whatever the future brings. More immediately, I have a wonderful opportunity through Lexington Community Education to teach classes about trans issues for the general public. It feels important to use the platform I have to try and advocate for my community. If any of you would like to see what I'm up to, just say the word, and I'd be happy to offer these workshops to my home congregation. Most weeks you can find me taking part in at least one public witness outside the ICE facility in Burlington, Mass., just 15 minutes from Fallen. I just got trained to be a peacekeeper marshal, too, so I can try to help keep my fellow demonstrators safe while we demand justice and due process for our immigrant neighbors. I try to prioritize making it out to these kinds of demonstrations, both to be in solidarity, but also as an act of self-care, because there's nothing that energizes me like the sight of regular, ordinary people going way outside their comfort zone to stand up for what is right. These are stressful times, and I'm sure every one of you is feeling it in your own way. I feel very fortunate to be grounded in a faith tradition that teaches love and compassion above all else. I wear my hand-me-down chalice necklace, the one my brother was given by this church, every day. It reminds me that I have been made strong by the love of a beautiful community. It is my greatest honor to carry the gifts of this community into the future. All my love, Nathaniel Clark. Our young adults are so beautiful, and they give me such hope for the future.